How to complete an art commission successfully in 10 easy steps. Hi guys, my name is Mira and I'm a freelance digital artist, and in this video I'll break down the commission work process of a freelance artist from start to finish. When I started doing freelance work, I would constantly look for advice online on commission pricing, work etiquette, and I just really didn't know what I was doing. I was very insecure about my work and I really needed help. That's why, over those 3 years, with advice from colleagues and help I found online, I was able to clean up my work process, and I've broken it down into a few easy steps that you can follow to make your life easier and make maximum profits from your work. First things first, every commission starts with a client. You have to find clients or wait for them to discover you. Either way, you're going to need some presence online. You have to put yourself out there in order to be seen. I'm sure this isn't new for you, so I won't linger over this point any longer. Once you've got your client, they're going to send you a brief. If they're not sure what they want, you can use your expertise as an artist to guide them and help them formulate the brief. Once you have the brief, you'll have to break it down. Is this something you've done before? If yes, then great. You can prove your experience through your portfolio, and that will help you when negotiating the price. If the brief asks you to do something you don't have a lot of experience with, you have two options. Either turn it down if you're not interested in the type of project that the client proposes, or accept it and communicate with the client that your strengths as an artist are within a different area of expertise. Let's say you're a character artist and the brief is for environment art. This could be very tedious for you and very unpleasant to do, so you may wish to refuse the offer. On the other hand, it could be a good learning opportunity and you'd be making some money along the way too, which is always good. Keep in mind that you still have to consider your skill level very carefully. The client is counting on you to produce high quality work and you need to show for it. In this case, the environment art might not turn out as good as your character work, but it needs to fit the client's standards. If you have plenty of experience with similar briefs, then you can go ahead and negotiate the price based on your skills. Be fair with yourself. Don't underestimate your value. Think about how long this project will take. If you've already worked on similar projects, then you should have a really good idea about this. Think of a desired hourly rate that you'd like to charge and formulate the price based on those two factors. Consider the purpose of the commission. Is it for personal use, or is it going to be used commercially by a giant corporation that's going to earn thousands of dollars on this project? The next thing you need to do is propose a quote to the client and then wait. Wait for the client's response and get ready to head into the third step, negotiation. Sometimes freelancing is all about compromise, especially in the beginning of your career. If you don't have a lot of experience, you can't really charge as much as you'd like, and it's always better to propose your highest possible quote because a lot of the time you'd be lowering it anyway. If the client's budget is substantially lower than your proposed price, I suggest offering alternative solutions. Let them know what other options there are that would fit their brief. Perhaps you can offer a less detailed style of work that would cut the cost but still do the job. Or you could take away some of the less important elements of the work and simplify them, such as the background. If you're making a character, you could focus your efforts onto the focal point like the face or a piece of armor and leave the rest of the image more painterly. This will allow you to save a lot of time without compromising the quality of the work overall. Just remember, time is money. If the project is big and the client is expecting a lot of profit to be made out of it, they might ask for a freelance contract. You need to read this carefully and sign with caution. Make sure that the contract allows you to post the work you do in your portfolio, and also make sure that there is a deadline for the payments. It's important that the contract protects you just as much as it protects the client. Never hand over any complete work if it's not paid in full. Also, never begin working until the deposit has been paid. Step 4. The deposit. How much? Well, 40 to 50% is sufficient in my experience. These are percentages that are widely used in many different industries for many different types of projects. Give the client time to pay. Sometimes they'll need a couple of days to sort out the payment, and that's okay. Don't rush and try to make a quick buck. These things take time. You don't want to bother your clients and make them uncomfortable. Just don't be desperate and be patient. Start work when you receive the deposit and send your client an update soon after. It's also a good idea to send payment confirmation statements from PayPal or your bank or whatever else you're using to get paid. Keep track of your payments. This is very important. Freelance art is a business just like any other, so treat it like one if you want to be successful. Create a spreadsheet with all of your commissions and payment history. You can log time, deposit amounts, remaining payments, deadlines, and so on and so forth, just to keep track of how your work is going month by month. You can even set up your monthly financial goals and calculate your progress based on what you've made. Step 6 is to send progress. Make sure you send your client progress images or just written updates on the process regularly, at least once every 2 weeks, unless there's a deadline. Communication is key. You have to be transparent with your commissioner. It's okay to let them know that you're having trouble with the process. Maybe you're just burned out, or maybe there's something about the brief that's just difficult for you to execute. In my experience, clients do tend to understand that artists are human too. We're not robots. Sometimes we can't just print out a bunch of artwork flawlessly. It's just like any other job. There are errors, difficulties, and things that slow you down outside of work. Just make sure you're honest about it. Don't ghost your clients. When you start doing freelance work, you'll probably go into private commissions for personal use first. Those rarely have strict deadlines. Sometimes that creates an issue. Too much freedom to pick and choose when you work and when you rest can lead to procrastination. An easy fix if you feel yourself slacking is just to negotiate a deadline with the client and set it in a way that will force you to work consistently. Let's say you've got a character commission that will take you approximately 15 hours. You've tracked 7 hours so far, so you're halfway there. You start getting burned out and you start working only a couple of hours a week on it. Your client is being patient and everything's good. They aren't in a rush. But what are you going to do? Are you going to drag this on forever? Are you going to finish it this year? I mean, come on, you're probably sick of looking at it by now. So to get it out of the way, just ask your client to set a deadline or propose one yourself. You can spread out those 7 hours of work within 2 weeks, for example. So you propose a 2-week deadline, then you procrastinate over those 2 weeks, then you pull an all-nighter, finishing the project in 12 hours because you don't value your health or your sanity. Before we move on to concluding the commission and sending it into the client, slap a watermark on it. Don't send finished work until you've received your final payment. No exceptions. Just make sure the artwork is clearly visible through your watermark and then send it to the client for approval. That way, you're again protecting yourself from getting scammed. Here comes the waiting game. Once the client has approved the image, you have to wait for your final payment. Most of the time, this is fairly simple and it happens within a week. Sometimes, however, it can take months. I've had to wait for payments for several months and I've had to hold on to the artwork until I gotten paid. This is something you have to prepare for. It's not a pleasant experience, especially if you're dependent on this very paycheck to arrive, to pay your rent, or to buy that really cool game that's on sale on Steam this weekend. Again, patience is key. Don't be annoying. You can send a follow-up email to your client a few days after you send the preview images, but don't spam them with emails demanding your money. Relax, your client is probably just waiting for their next paycheck and they'll probably let you know when to expect your money. This applies to any job in any industry, but just try your best to save your money and don't depend on a single payment to pay your living expenses. Alright, sending the files. What's the commission for? Is the client going to use it on their website, as a desktop background, in a game, or are they going to print it out? You have to format the files to fit the client's needs. At the start of the process, just ask them for the size preferences and format requirements. If they're letting you decide and the artwork is just for their personal gallery, just make the files 4K. Otherwise, you have to look up your size and format settings based on what the client is asking of you. Once you're all set, export your high quality files, without the watermark and send them to the client, and you're done. There you have it. If you're starting out as a freelance artist and you're a little insecure in your work process, this video should break it down for you and make it easier to understand. As long as you follow these process outlines, you'll be able to relax and trust yourself a little better as a professional. Just believe in yourself. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time around. Ciao, ciao!